that if it don't work out, then you can tell me goodbye. Then you can tell me goodbye. Well, this is it. That day is here. The day I knew would come when you would leave me, dear. Well, here I sit while teardrops fall, and wonder why I care when you don't care at all. But I'm a fool that way, from a way back when. A fool who'd take you back if you'd come back again. But this is it. You're gone, you're free. You'll find another love, but this is it for me. Well, this is it. That day is here. It's no surprise.
Let us sit now and just enjoy a slide presentation. The music's going to be from the Paul Harvey, God Created a Farmer. Let us enjoy this slideshow.
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, milk cows, work all day in the fields, milk cows again, eat supper, then go to town and stay past midnight at a meeting of the school board. So God made a farmer. I need somebody with arms strong enough to wrestle a calf and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to call hogs, tame cantankerous machinery, come home hungry, have to wait lunch until his wife's done feeding visiting ladies, then tell the ladies to be sure and come back real soon and mean it. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody willing to sit up all night with a newborn colt and watch it die, then dry his eyes and say, maybe next year. I need somebody who can shape an axe handle from a persimmon sprout, shoe a horse with a hunk of car tire, who can make harness out of hay, wire, feed sacks, and shoe scraps, who planting time and harvest season will finish his 40-hour week by Tuesday noon, and then painin' from tractor back put in another 72 hours. So God made a farmer. God had to have somebody willing to ride the ruts at double speed to get the hay in ahead of the rain clouds and yet stop in midfield and race to help when he sees the first smoke from a neighbor's place. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody strong enough to clear trees and heave bales, yet gentle enough to yean lambs and wean pigs and tend the pink-combed pullets, who will stop his mower for an hour to splint the broken leg of a meadowlark. It had to be somebody who'd plow deep and straight and not cut corners. Somebody to seed, weed, feed, breed, and rake and disc and plow and plant and tie the fleece and strain the milk and replenish the self-feeder and finish a hard week's work with a 5-mile drive to church. Somebody who'd bail a family together with the soft, strong bonds of sharing, who would laugh and then sigh and then reply with smiling eyes when his son says that he wants to spend his life doing what Dad does. So God made a farmer.
Good afternoon, everyone. Maybe you could just turn that down just a little, please. Welcome to this celebration of life as we come today. I'm truly honored to be able to officiate this service. We know that a farmer, hey, I'm a farm boy, I know where you're all coming from. So what a blessing to be able to celebrate this service for Wayne today. I'm Pastor Marvin Seaborg, and it certainly was an honor to be asked to do this service today. The memorial money in memory of Wayne will go to the charity of choice, and you can leave that here or just mail it in directly to the charity of your choice, but please indicate your name, address, and everything, and if you wish to receive a receipt. But again, it's an honor to be here today and to see so many people. Obviously, Wayne touched the lives of many people, and what a blessing to be able to sit here as a family and look around and say, my God, for people. And I'm thinking, that's exactly, it's wonderful to have this time together. Following this service today, there will be a time of fellowship at the end of the service, and one of the fellows is going to come forward and just give you some instructions at the very end as to what will take place at the very end of our service. At this time now, we're truly honored to be able to call upon Graeme Warner. He's coming forward to share a tribute with us at this time.
Good afternoon, friends. Wayne was my friend. Dorothy, Shelley, Brent, asking me to give this eulogy is the highest honor that has ever been bestowed on me. Thank you. When I was asked to give this eulogy, I felt like a beginner hockey player being asked to give Wayne Gretzky or Bobby Orr hockey advice. As you all know, Wayne was notoriously such an amazing and natural speaker. I can only hope to honor him. It is my most humble intent to represent your husband, your father, grandfather, friend, uncle, and cousin in the best and truest manner we all knew him to be, a legend. Born February 26, 1938, made him 86 years old. On Friday, July 19th, he collapsed at home and was taken to Moose Jaw's Wigmore Hospital. He was then airlifted by Stars helicopter to Regina's General Hospital, where he was medically induced into a coma and passed away 5 days later on July 24th with family by his side. He was born right here in town and then raised on the homestead farm 20 miles south of Moose Jaw, where one of his 2 grandchildren, a 4th generation Hall, now lives. Wayne had an older sister named Darlene. He attended Bevitt School 2.5 miles away from the homestead, often riding there by horse. Now this may surprise you all, but even in grade school, Wayne was known to have the gift of the gab. As a young boy, he also developed a lifelong love of Western movies, especially when they featured Roy Rogers. This growing passion was ignited by attending doubleheader movies every Saturday afternoon. High school was attended at Moose Jaw Technical, now known as Albert E. Peacock Collegiate, but he hated school and quit at the end of grade 10. His dad told him, "Okay, son, if you're not going back to school, then you're getting a job or you're out of here." So he got a job driving truck. His first trip was to Weyburn, and he didn't know how to back the truck up to the dock. While he was working that out, he snapped a rear axle. He went into the customer's office and phoned his boss to tell him the predicament he was in, and the boss told him, "Fix it, because that's the only way you're getting home. That is after you take the load off." And he did. I don't know how he repaired that broken axle, but I'm told that yes, indeed, he delivered the load and drove the truck back. I think that never say quit aptitude served him well in life. I would say the real success Wayne enjoyed in his life came serendipitously from his mother telling him in no uncertain terms that he had to go to the Providence Hospital and get those tonsils taken out. How was this so serendipitous, and how did it create the success, you're wondering? This is where he met Dorothy, who was working as a certified nurse's assistant at the Providence Hospital. He must have become very smitten with her very quickly, because he told her, I'll repeat that, he told her, not asked her, that he would pick her up at the front doors when he was released, which just coincided with the end of her shift. Although I think Cupid also struck Dorothy pretty solidly that day, did you see how handsome Wayne was as a young man? She overtly tried to leave out the back. Not to be thwarted by this, Wayne quickly drove around to the back, where he forced her into his car and took her to the Dairy Queen for milkshakes. Now, Dorothy's sister happened to work at the Dairy Queen, and she literally thought, we'll probably get one free milkshake, but that sister must not have shared the same generosity, because Wayne had to pay for both. Around the same time, Wayne's love of rodeo also inspired him to try his hand at bull riding. His first and last bull ride only lasted a few seconds, And although it was long enough for him to win some ground money, upon self-reflection, he decided that that experience had been enough to end his few-second bull riding career. However, his passion for attending rodeos lasted a lifetime, with numerous trips to the National Finals Rodeo in Vegas, and that was one of his favorite places to go. About a year after that first Dairy Queen kidnapping, first date, Wayne proposed to Dorothy while they sat in his old white half-ton under a streetlight in front of her parents' home. Dorothy's mom eventually came out, confronting them as to what were they doing sitting out there and what were they up to. I don't think there's any question how much Wayne loved Dorothy. I just think he was a little light in the romance department. They were married in Moose Jaw's Zion United Church on November 22nd, 1958. That's 66 years ago, folks. So beautiful, such testament to true love, isn't it? They moved into a house located at 406 Athabasca West, here in town, and Wayne worked at numerous jobs, eventually driving truck and working for the Department of Highways. He had recently told me that absolutely his most favorite job in the world was driving snowplow. 5 years after marriage, Shelley was born, and 2 years after that, Shelley had herself a baby brother, Brent. It was shortly after Brent was born that they moved out to the family farm and started farming with less than 100 acres. I know Wayne was very proud of his family farming operation named South Fork, a name inspired by Wayne's admiration of J.R. Ewing from that famous TV series. He was still buying land as of last year to add to South Fork. Now, it is totally appropriate that I bring this out at this point. For this represents an effective tool in Wayne's one-of-a-kind socialite toolbox. It often helped loosen up those friends of his that may be more reserved, perhaps, and it definitely unclogged those pesky voice filters. You know, the ones that separate your inside voice from your outside voice? I'm telling you, thank goodness for this tool, as I'm sure everyone feels blessed to have experienced his hilarious humor and points of view. It was this love for socializing with people that drove Wayne to try any activity just to enjoy those social interactions. One of Wayne's quotes was that if a man's wealth is measured in the number of true friends he has, then he is a wealthy man. I'd say today proves how wealthy indeed he was. From learning to play the guitar and banjo, where he was able to play with Red Stabell on CHAB's Saturday night radio show, to learning how to skate so he could play hockey in the Mercantile League, which spawned his love for the Moose Jaw Warriors, where he would tell anyone that would listen that Morgan Riley was going places because he played like Bobby Orr. And he was right. Wayne added playing golf, mind you, quite badly, fishing, while mostly sleeping in the boat, and learning how to drive a real NASCAR race car. Enthusiastically attending an NBA basketball game, even though he knew not a single thing about basketball. Joining the South Saskatchewan Riding and Roping Association, the Saskatchewan Wildlife Association, the Moose Jaw Shriners Equestrian Unit, the Elks, where he became the Grand Provincial President of Saskatchewan, the Associated Travelers Group, the Legion, and I think I saw a curling association in there, and of course the Canadian Cattlemen's Association. Wayne did all these with gusto, dedication, and an unoffensive, hilariously delivered, yet on point, commentary that just made you smile, probably laugh, and appreciate how clearly the point he was trying to make actually had just been made. An example of this happened a year ago at my wedding. And it was held in the El Capone Moose Jaw Tunnels. After the ceremony was finished up in the saloon, all our guests proceeded on with the tour. At one point, there was a staircase leading down to the underground, and it had a handrail only on the right-hand side. As you will know, Wayne suffered a stroke years ago, which pretty much disabled most use of his right arm and hand. So as he struggled to reach across to hold the handrail with his left hand, his inside voice became his very clear, loud, outside voice, exclaiming to the 44 guests and tour guide that were waiting at the bottom, "Geez, if I'd known there was only going to be a handrail on this side, I would have had my stroke on the left." Yeah. Now, some of you know Wayne as Long Haul. He was a hard-working entrepreneur wanting to provide for his family and added numerous semi-trucks to his business portfolio over the years, specifically within the grain and cattle hauling industries. Apparently, he couldn't make it to Alberta without having a sleep, though. So, like when some fat guy gets nicknamed Tiny, the antonym long haul seemed highly appropriate. The fact that it was further a play on his last name was pure gold, and the nickname was forevermore. It was actually his venture into buying semis that I first met Wayne, and a lifelong friendship was born thereafter. Trips to Freightliner factories, NASCAR races, numerous fly-in fishing trips, Christmas parties, family birthdays, said wedding party last year, and a couple of local meals in the field thrown in with long haul remain some of the fondest memories and highlights in my life. Long haul was always a good sport when fishing camp pranks were pulled on him too. I think we pulled those on him because we just wanted to make him feel better about being the poorest, most broke farmer in Saskatchewan. At least that's what we were led to believe, given that we'd see him walking around in the cabin at bedtime with droopy, hardly no elastic support left in the underwear waistbands. Those worn out underwears defied gravity. On another fishing trip he came on, he needed to travel somewhere else just prior to our trip. So he left his duffel bag full of his fishing trip clothes with me to bring up where he would fly in and meet us. Naturally, I swapped all of his underwear with new, freshly purchased, large ladies' underwear from Walmart. With bated breath, we all waited for his reaction the first morning after he arrived, when we assumed he would be putting on fresh underwear. Nope. Nothing happened. So later that night, after a day of fishing, we waited for the highly anticipated reaction, thinking he would be changing his underwear that night after a shower. Nope, still nothing. Finally, on the third morning, we heard the loud, bellowing complaint as to what the heck had Dorothy done? Like I said, he was a great sport about it, and he could take it as well as he dished it out. I'm sure the Johnson boys have stories to share from the many Lake Athabasca fishing trips, too. It's worth repeating that Wayne wholeheartedly felt that a man's true wealth was measured in the number and quantity of friendships he had, and he humbly considered himself extremely wealthy in that regard. In particular, there is one friend here that deserves special mention. Special because I have never seen a closer friendship between two men than one of Ryan Gibson and Wayne Hall. Liken them to Ding and Dong, Yin and Yang, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. To me, they seem joined at the hip, rarely apart from each other's company. Dorothy even shared with me that she once told Wayne, "I think you're in love with Ryan, and let me know when I can call and book a date with you." I believe Dorothy, like many of us, was amusedly perplexed as to how two men with most opposite personalities could be so tight. In case you don't know Ryan, he tends to be a man of very, very, very few words. A man constantly in deep concentration, a man who thinks things through before speaking or acting. And then we have Wayne. I'm told Ryan and Wayne could drive 70 miles together, often without Ryan uttering a single word. They both, however, shared characters of being highly principled, honest, loyal, and hardworking. I know besides sharing a company they formed together, Rhineway Trucking Limited, building a shop/office/happy hour meeting place, they also traveled the world with their wives together to many countries, some of these being pretty exotic and off the beaten path. So obviously they also shared a great sense of adventure too. The theme of this eulogy is Wayne's passion for socializing. You could definitely call Wayne a flirt with the ladies, but he was the most innocent flirt in this world, with just an interest in making sure everyone had a good time. In case you ever wondered why Wayne sported a cartoon decal of a smiling, ear-to-ear, dancing, twirling pink pig wearing a cowboy hat in the lower corner of his back window on 2 of his half-tons in succession, that came from a Freightliner truck factory tour he attended with me down in North Carolina. At the end of an action-packed day of factory tours, he expressed an enthusiastic interest in having our group of 4 or 5 checking out a country bar where there was a dance floor. Obligingly, I took him to a 1,000-head bar with a huge dance floor and a live band. Shortly after the band started up, Wayne was out on the dance floor twirling some of the ugliest, most out-of-shape Southern belles in that bar. I never saw him dance more than 2 dances with anyone, though, and he hardly left the dance floor that night. Seeing his pure joy of dancing to some good country music and seeing the happiness he was innocently bringing to all of those women that otherwise likely would have never left their tables that night, swelled my admiration and love for him even more. That man knew how to live life, and that decal was presented to him after returning home to Saskatchewan with love and admiration commensurating the activity we labeled twirling the pigs that night. Dorothy had 8 sisters in her family, and Wayne would revel in flirting with them, often convincing them to sit on his knee, but always in safe proximity of Dorothy, and then assuring Dorothy only she was his special girl. Dorothy always took his flirting with others in stride and humored Wayne, graciously allowing his antics, often to occur right in front of her. One of them, I recall, was telling some young Caribbean lady, more than 40 years his junior, that if he could convince Dorothy to leave him, he would be all up in her world. Given any moment of seriousness where discussion came to spouses, the attributes Wayne would unabashedly declare for Dorothy clearly confirmed that he loved, cherished, and appreciated her through and through, leaving no doubt as to how in love he was with her. And on that note, I will close this eulogy of one of the greatest men I've had the pleasure of knowing, sharing the last thing he did before leaving the farm for the hospital. He kissed Dorothy goodbye and told her, "You're my special girl." God bless you, Wayne. You were a pretty special guy yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Graeme. I'm sure glad you left that bottle up here for me anyways. My throat gets really dry when I do these tributes and that, so thank you so much. That was wonderfully put together, and looking out there and seeing all your attention on this tribute, it was awesome. So we definitely appreciate that. At this time, we're going to watch another slide presentation at this time, so let's sit back and just relax and enjoy this at this time.
Lord, I've never asked for any favors, and I'm not too deserving, as I know. But when it's parting time for me and baby, please let me be the first to go. Don't take the heart out of our family. Me and the kids would miss her so. I don't think I could live one day without her. So let me be the first to go. This happy home we share is her creation. It's warm and cheerful from her happy glow. She has so much more love to give than I do. So let me be the first to go.
I remember Daddy's hands folded silently in prayer, and reaching out to hold me when I had a nightmare. You could read quite a story in the calluses and lines. Years of work and worry had left their mark behind. I remember Daddy's hands, how they held my mama tight and patted my back for something done right. There are things that I've forgotten that I loved about the man, but I'll always remember the love in Daddy's hands. Daddy's hands were soft and kind when I was crying. Daddy's hands
At this time, I'd like to share a scripture reading with us for the service this afternoon from the 23rd Psalm. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all of the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Well, as I prepared this message for today, and I couldn't believe on that first slideshow, I think they stole my title. So anyways, I didn't know that that was the title of your first slideshow, and that was the one that I chose for today because we know, and every one of you have known how much Wayne loved the farm. So today we've come to celebrate the life and share the loss of Wayne Hall, known to most of us as simply Long Hall. We've come to remember, to tell stories, and to say our goodbye to Wayne. And as hard as it is, this service will help us begin the process of letting go so we can begin the process of grieving. On behalf of the family, I would like to thank you all for the kindness that you have shown during this very difficult time. Thank you for all the words of kindness, for the cards, the calls, and especially your presence and prayers. God made a farmer. Yes, that was Wayne. How can it be put in a way with words? He spoke of farmers as men who got up early, they worked all day, they planted crops, baled hay, wrestled with machinery, milked cows, cleared out stones, weeds, and whatever else the fields required. And he worked so hard at raising crops, but yet also look at his lovely family, so strong of a family man. And if such a man was fortunate, he had neighbors like every one of you gathered here this afternoon who respected him, counted on him, and he had a family that loved him so, so dearly and knew he loved them back. And that was Wayne. He was a hard-working farmer, a man who did much of what he is described even in the tribute today. On top of that, he worked so, so hard so he could supply for his family all of their needs. And he has blessed so many people throughout the years. Also, a man full of so much energy, so much enthusiasm, but yet it sounded like, wow, so much fun. But more importantly, he had a family who knew that they loved him, who leaned on his work ethic, and that's where you are all at today. He had a strong, strong work ethic. You honored him by how you lived your lives, because Dad set that life, along with your mom. What a great team. And there's no question that you were all very much loving. But I still remember the words, God made a farmer. And as you all know, living in this community, that they know that farmers are the backbone of society. Someone put it this way, once in a while you need a doctor or a lawyer or a policeman, but every day, 3 times a day, you need a farmer. God made a farmer. It is in times like these that we want so much to say the right thing and in some way bring comfort and encouragement. But without exception, we always feel that our vocabulary is never adequate enough. But there is a place that we can always turn to find the right words to say and comfort that we need, and in this word, it's words of sincerity, but yet also thoughtfulness. In this life, we will hear his voice no more. We will never take his hand or place our hand on his shoulder or be able to give him a hug anymore or even to have a good, friendly handshake. His absence leaves us with grief and sorrow, but we take comfort in what remains. We have our memories that will continue to walk with us in our lives, which means a lot to each one of us. Our memories of him will keep our love alive within us and in however many days and weeks and months and years that you and I have left on this earth. We share all these memories of Wayne with people around us every day. And the words that are common, do you remember Wayne? Do you remember what he did? Do you remember how he fit into our community? And in doing so, we will share that love with others around us. Love not only remains, but love grows. As we continue with this service, it is a record of Wayne's life. In this, the words we share teach us to remember our days aright, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. In other words, it is saying to us as a reminder, help us to recognize how short life can actually be, that we can spend our energy on things that really matter, and Wayne's life of energy was farming. So today, as we gather here as friends and family, you talk about the great memories you have. It is my prayer that you would celebrate the life and memory of Wayne. But also, it is my prayer that you would take time to do an inventory of your own life and make the needed corrections so that you will spend your energy on things that really, really matter. And for each of us, we are reminded, let us remind ourselves on a daily basis, enjoy life to its fullest. Wayne Hall was one of those special people. He carried the title farmer very, very well. From the classroom of his farm, he passed it on to his children and other people in his community. And the lesson in life, his harvest goes on, called the harvest of life. In closing, Wayne and Dorothy had a great, wonderful relationship together, and it showed in the days and years they had together. Thank you so much. At this time, we're truly honored today to call the Baildon Hutterite ladies forward, and they're going to sing for us at this time. So welcome. Thank you so much for that wonderful, both music selections that was greatly appreciated by every one of us, that's for sure. At this time, I would like to call upon the Elks to do their rites at this time, please.
Thank you, Marvin. Could the audience please rise if you're able to? And the Elks assume the sign of fidelity. Thank you. Worthy exalted ruler, what is the hour?
It is the hour when all elks cease from their labors and again renew within their hearts their obligations to each other with special regard to our absent and departed members. Elkdom, as an order, seeks ever to exemplify the noble traits of the stately elk from which it takes its name. The elk, unlike the more ferocious animals of the forest, while fleet of foot and ever ready to fight in defense of its weaker members, is naturally docile and lives in peace with all mankind. So we teach all to be quick to hear and strong in responding to the calls of the fraternal service, such as the circumstances of life may bring upon us. We are bound together by the ties of a great fraternity which seeks to make life sweeter, people better, and the world happier. The faults of our members we write upon the sands of the sea, where they may quickly effaced and forgotten, while their virtues we inscribe upon the tablets of our hearts, so that we may realize in a larger degree the living meaning of the brotherhood of man. Okay. Okay.
Please be seated. At this time, we're going to watch the final slide presentation on the overhead at this time.
Back a few months ago, I was headlining at a great big nightclub. And he put me up a couple of days early. I came in a couple of days early, and they put me up at what they call the Star Suite. Now here I am, headliner in one of the biggest nightclubs in the country, and I wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning in this Star Suite, all by myself. Yeah, that's what I said, aw. But I did what I've always done, man, to cheer myself up. I picked up my guitar, I sat down, I wrote me a little song. Now this is how it feels to be alone at the top of the hill, trying to figure out why. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. I can't wait to look in the mirror, 'cause I get better looking each day. To know me is to love me. I must be a hell of a man. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble, but I'm doing the best that I can. I used to have a girlfriend, but I guess she just couldn't compete with all of these love-starved women who keep clamoring at my feet. Well, I probably could find me another but I guess they're all in awe of me. Who cares? I never get lonesome, 'cause I treasure my own company. Oh, Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. Can't wait to look in the mirror. Can't wait to look in the mirror. Help me out now, come on. I get better looking each day. To know me is to what? To know me is to love me. Must be a hell of a man. I must be a hell of a man. Oh Lord, it's hard. Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're doing what? We're doing the best that we can. I guess you could say I'm a loner, a cowboy outlaw, tough and proud. Well, I could have lots of friends if I wanted, but then I wouldn't stand out from the crowd. Some folks say that I'm egotistical. Hell, I don't even know what that means. I guess it has something to do with the way that I fill out my skin-tight blue jeans. Whoa. Come on, where's all the kickers in here? Oh, Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. When you're perfect in every way. Can't wait to look in the mirror. I can't wait to look in the mirror, 'cause I get better looking. I get better looking each day. To know me is to what? To know me is to love me. Must be a hell of a man. Must be a hell of a man. Oh Lord, it's hard. Lord, it's hard to be humble. What are we doing? We're doing the best that we can. One more time. What are we doing? We're doing the best that we can. Give yourself a hand.
As this is the conclusion of our service for this afternoon, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank each of you for giving me this opportunity to share this service today in memory of Wayne. It was truly an honor, and God's blessings to all of you. And we know that Wayne was a part of every one of your lives, so don't let it stop living on in your hearts and minds. So thank you so much. And at this time, I would like to call upon Graeme. He's going to give us some instructions for the end of this service today. Thank you so much.
Well, it was the family's request that we open this up to open mic. There is a video. A very dear friend sent a video in that couldn't be here today, so we're going to watch that. And after that, I know there are some anxiously or enthusiastic speakers waiting to speak, but I think the bar is going to open up about now. And the other thing I wanted to mention is, I don't know how Ryan pulled this off, but he found a Case IH tractor when they were all out of stock. And you can come say goodbye to Wayne as his ashes are interned in this tractor that's on the stage, and he'll be farming forever based on that. So what a great idea that was, Ryan. And like I said, you can come up and say goodbye to Wayne because he's here. So I guess we'll play the video now. Thank you.
Hi, it's Roger Pettigrew from Regina, and I just want to say I'm grateful for this opportunity to pay tribute to Wayne Hall on this special day. Dorothy, Shelley, and Brent, sending my sincerest condolences on the loss of a legend. And so I'd like to say that, we started out with kind of it's fitting to be at the dealership because that's where we first crossed paths when Wayne and I met in 1988, so 36 years ago. And from that moment in time when he got out of that vehicle and he came into the showroom, and I'm looking at this guy going, wow, that guy's, there's something special about him. And as it turned out, there was something special about that man. And 36 years, we enjoyed this opportunity to become friends and help him with his business over the years, acquiring assets, trucks, trailers, anything he needed. It was anything for Wayne Hall. For me, it was always talking about the man, the legend, and the integrity. You knew at the moment in time that when Wayne would walk in the door, and whether we were on the phone or in person, having a social event, and we shook hands, that's what he was about. He was a man about integrity. And if you shook Wayne Hall's hand, you had a deal. One deal that comes to mind that's kind of funny is we actually were working on this truck deal, and we had cut a deal. The truck came in, and after the truck came in, presented the price. We're over at their office at Rhineway Trucking, south of Moose Jaw, and delivered the news, and we were writing up the bill of sale, and he said, "Oh my God, Roger, there's no way, I just can't pay $100,000 for this vehicle." And I said, "Okay, Wayne, then you're not going to pay $100,000. And it's the first time in history, and it's the last time in the history of the company that we ever sold a truck to a customer for $99,999.99. And I'm telling you, you should have seen the smile on that man's face. Pipe hanging out of his mouth for sure, but the smile on his face to say he didn't have to pay $100,000. And it was just one of those moments in time I'll never forget. I'll never forget that moment with Wayne. Much like every time we went on a trip, we would go up north, we'd go fishing, we would travel around to go see some customers. But I got to tell you, another funny story about Wayne is that we were up north at the fishing camp, and a couple of days in, he still hadn't caught a fish. And of course, the first night he made a big production about that. And it was like actually a little bit of cooler weather, and I'll never forget, he had this yellow rain suit on. And it was, Wayne loved a lot of things. He loved fishing, he loved farming, he loved trucking, he loved his family, and he really loved having fun. And so part of that fun was actually engaging with him. And so after the second day, as we were running by, he was on a pontoon boat, and I was running by going, "Why isn't Wayne catching fish?" Because literally everybody's catching fish. And as we went by the pontoon boat, I looked and I can say, well, the dots all connected because Wayne was sleeping. Rod was down, line was limp, but Wayne was sleeping. And I tell you what, at that moment of the time, he's having a good time. He's enjoying his life. He's having a snooze. But as we got back to the camp that night, we were having supper, and of course he's talking about not catching a fish again. And he did catch a fish on day 3, and I felt bad for that fish because, man, he made that fish pay. He dragged that out to probably 20 minutes. But that night he was talking about the fishing, and there's no fish in the lake, and a fellow by the name of Bill Dorn was a very funny man from Newfoundland, and he was talking about, he was always, I'll say, fond of Wayne, and he would always tell me, of course, long haul. But as Wayne's telling all these stories, Bill had an epiphany, and it was kind of like, long haul? You're not really here for the fishing, are you? And of course, there's a lot of laughter and stuff, but I would say that was an epiphany in the fact that it actually hit home. And I remember that registering with me going, you know what? It isn't about the fishing, and it isn't about the farming, it isn't about the family as much as it is about basically getting to know people and then loving those people and having a relationship with them and coming to some kind of a common ground. So everybody that you called his family, he loved. Everybody that he was friends with. So I look at this and I'm saying, that's a classic example of what it meant to Wayne. So that's a picture of Ryan and Wayne and Graeme and I. And the writing is, it meant the world to him. And this was compliments of Patty, so thank you very much for that, Patty. But this goes back to when we were maybe a little bit younger. Maybe you can tell from the picture it's not doctored, but we were younger fellas back there. And you think about that word friends and the power of that word, that's what it was. And if you think about what Wayne really was, he was social and he was kind-hearted. I say, ne'er an individual that, basically is attending the function today that's celebrating his life as the legend of long haul, is that you find somebody that has something negative to say about long haul, and I got to tell you, that would be a rare moment because it's just not who the spirit of he was. Dorothy and Shelley and Brent, I can tell you from the bottom of my heart, we had many, many discussions about his family and what you guys all meant to him, and I tell you what, there was nobody that he loved more in his life than you three, and of course the grandchildren as well. So kudos to you guys, and obviously the relationship that you were blessed with long haul. And I feel like in that social circle, or that inner circle with Patty and Ryan, and I'd say Graeme and Amber, and over the years we were so blessed to have this very, very positive relationship with him and what he meant to us. And many a trips and many a laughs, and the Warriors, lots of bets over the Warriors, and lots of bantering, and we never ever did square up on that bet. But I feel like that was a bet that was never going to be square, because we would be able to poke fun at each other for the rest of our life. And again, there's the word fun and friendship. And so many times, you know, I look at I'm having a flashback to the anniversary celebration this year. And I think about how many of those people there had such a long history with Wayne. Wayne wasn't a one and done person. He was literally about relationships. And if I looked around that room, I'm thinking some of those folks I haven't seen for a long time. And I look at Gene and Rolene Roard. I haven't seen them forever, but I got to tell you, the common bond for us was that, you know, for Wayne and Dorothy. And I think that, oh my goodness gracious, that you just never lost that with Long Haul. And every time you saw him, that beaming smile and the hello. And it was this, you know, for many years, obviously, when he was having his pipe and he was smoking the pipe, and it was just one of the things he did, you know, like that walk that he had, you know, and it was just like it was Long Haul. It was just Long Haul. But what a man, what a legend. And I feel like we were all blessed and we're better for it. We were grateful and appreciative of that relationship and never took it for granted. And that handshake, I'll never forget that. I'll never forget that handshake and the way in which he would just literally, you know, make sure that we had a deal. We have a deal? Yeah, we had a deal, Wayne. And that's what that man was. He's a legend. In my personal life and professional life, I've never run across somebody that anybody had something negative to say about the guy. He's one of those guys that always found a common ground where there was a win-win. He never had to beat you. He never had to grind you down. He always knew that there was an opportunity that on both sides that he was profiting from the assets that he was buying and supporting our company, because long history, 36 years of all the folks that we would have had in our company. And I can tell you, nobody came in the office and said, Wayne Hall just said this, Wayne Hall did. It just wasn't about the spirit of who the man was. So I feel like at the end of the day, we were the ones that were blessed to be able to come into his life and have us be a part of his life. And I'd say, just like everybody that's in the room here today, I'm sure a part of us has gone to heaven with him. And I know he's looking down today, and he's smiling, and he's telling us, you know, that we're going to be okay, because we are. And by having an event like this to celebrate his life is the right way to do it. Tears, for sure, aplenty. But celebrations and so many positive memories about a man that we will never forget. I'll never forget you, Wayne. Never. And Dorothy and Shelley and Brent, looking forward to seeing you guys soon so we can actually break bread, because that was another thing we did. Always at Houston Pizza. Always the same steak. Always the same salad. And it was always a jovial time. So from my family to yours, thank you very much for sharing Wayne's life with me and our family, and we're grateful as hell, and all of his friends inside the Warner Industries group of companies. I feel like this is a fitting way to start the video, starting at the dealership, and I feel it's a fitting way to actually close the dealership, seeing that those vehicles in behind us that was the asset that brought us together, but it wasn't the glue that held us together. It was friendship, and it was a true, deep, loving respect for one another that kept us together for the rest of our lives. So, in closing, my sincerest condolences. Cheers. If I had a rum and coke, I would say cheers to a rum and coke and celebrate the life and enjoy the positive memories of a wonderful man, Wayne Hall, the legend.
Yes, it is. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, the bar's open, so, okay, see ya. No. My name's Bill Jameson, and I am an old pal of Long Haul's from way back, and when I read the obituary, it appeared to me that Wayne pulled off another good one because he said goodbye to everyone after he was gone, which is a huge accomplishment. So I think in the spirit of fairness, we will continue the dialogue that way. Wayne, you traveled many a highway with a lot of us in this room, and there are many stories to be told, and maybe the odd one that shouldn't be told. But I am sure you will recall the Canadian Livestock Curling Bonspiel of 1985. And I don't think you will mind if I recollect some of the details. The Bonspiel was held in Edmonton that year. There was you as the skip, Ken Dunlop as third, Robin was second, and I was the lead. We were all in our 30s and 40s, and we were seasoned partiers. And since you were the skip, you called the shots. The first night, prior to the next morning's opening draw, was a joyous occasion as always. We had a cocktail hour that lasted 3 times that long, a fine meal followed by the Calcutta, and another 4 or 5 hours of drinking. As usual, you were the hit of the party, entertaining all of us at the piano with songs like Herschel's Hemi Half Ton. The next morning is when things started to go sideways. We were considered by the livestock curling community to be just an average run-of-the-mill team. But we won our first game. And then, by some miracle, we won our second game. We played a third game that day and lost. But Long Haul, you played your ass off, which quite literally became the problem. We were pretty proud of ourselves for the way we competed, all with massive hangovers, but we were rejuvenated, and we decided to get cleaned up and meet in your room for a team drink. As I got to your room, I noticed the door was slightly ajar, so I walked in. That's when I realized we have a serious situation here. You were stark naked, on the bed, with your legs apart, elevated by 2 pillows under each leg. You pointed your finger at your behind and said, "I got trouble." We immediately formed an action plan. I called the Misericordia Hospital emergency line and explained our situation to the nurse on duty. Thankfully, she told us to get down there immediately. When we arrived, they put you in a room right away. We were sitting in the chairs in the waiting room, and we all fell asleep. A short while later, we were awakened by the most blood-curdling scream I have ever heard. And about 10 minutes passed by, and the door finally opened. You emerged first. walking so bow-legged it looked like you'd been riding the range for months. Next was a little Chinese doctor who came out holding a scalpel. He said, "Your friend be good in a couple days. He got a lot of cotton batting up there." As we walked to the car thinking we were going back to the hotel, you said, in true long-haul form, "Let's go to Danny Hooper's bar. Just find me a soft stool." The next morning, with you, our secret weapon on the sidelines, we lost our final game. You won most sportsmanlike player that year, and eventually you became one of only a handful of guys to be awarded a lifetime membership. Oh, and one more thing. You always knew how to draw a crowd, but this time you really outdid yourself. You said I was born, I blinked, and it was over. Well, all I can say is that was one hell of a blink. You did good, my friend, real good.
Just like to let everybody know that lunch is served in the back, and in about 30 minutes, if you want to get some courage, we're going to have an open mic.